Dear students, second year, Assalamu alaikum. Our today's lesson is unit 6. This is a poem and its name is If, and the poet of the poem is Rudyard Kipling. Now let's get a little background about the writer, and then I'll read the poem to you and explain each line. It says the poem has been written in 1895. It was first published in Rewards and Fairies. It is a 32 lines long poem with 4 stanzas of 8 lines each. It is a tribute to Leander Starr Jameson. The poem is written in the form of a parental advice to the poet's son. The whole poem is written in a single complex sentence. Now you can notice over here when I start reading the poem that there are many commas over here, and at the end there's an exclamation mark, and the ending of the whole paragraph, whole instructions comes at the end. So all the subordinate clauses begin with if, and the main clause concluding the entire theme comes at the end, and the poem ends with a full stop. The poem is an inspirational one written in second person narrative. It has a positive and motivating tone. It is written in iambic pentameter. Now let's start reading it. Now there are four stanzas in this poem, and the first stanza has the rhyming scheme A A, I'll explain the rhyming scheme to you in the sense that if you keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. Now both the yous, they are rhyming with each other. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. Now, four A's are rhyming. That means you in the first one, second, third, and fourth one. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. Now, lies and wise are rhyming, and waiting and hating are rhyming. Now, first, I will explain what this poem is about, and I'll start stanza by stanza, line by line explanation. Rhyming scheme of the first stanza, the 8-line stanza is A B C. And as we move on, if you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. Now, master and disaster are rhyming, same aim and same are rhyming, spoken and broken are rhyming, and fools and tools are rhyming. So, the rhyming scheme of all the other three stanzas is A B, C D. Last three stanzas are in this rhyming scheme. The first stanza is in this rhyming scheme A B C. Now, the next line. Next stanza will start with if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. Again, the words winning and beginning are rhyming. The words toss and loss are rhyming. Sinew and you are rhyming. Gone and on are rhyming. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Now, this whole poem is about the points the important things that a person must have to become a man. This poem by Rudyard Kipling lists a set of conditionals for the speaker's son to follow in order to become an ideal man. The speaker advises his son about how to perceive the world and life's challenges so that he can both learn from his experiences and resolutely overcome barriers. In this poem, Kipling speaker outlines for his son the behaviors and attitudes it takes to become a man, in this case, a gentleman in the British society. Now, explanation line by line will be explained to you. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. Now the poet has started explaining this poem and explaining the points to the child, that if you can keep your head when all about you, when all the other people are not behaving sane, you are supposed to behave sane and act intelligent. You must use your brain when all the others are not and they are blaming it all on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, even when all others doubt your intentions, your ideas, your achievements, you are supposed to have confidence in your own self. But make allowance for their doubting too. But keep in mind their doubts so that you can alter your wrongs. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, that means if you are patient, if you have the patience to wait for better things coming, or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or if you think people are lying to you, do not start lying yourself. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. If you think people hate you, don't turn out to be a hater yourself too. Try to spread love, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. And still, in front of the haters, don't try to look too good, don't try to act too wise. You must listen and then act. You must not speak out your views before the others, because the others will tend to fool you. In the next stanza, if you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same. In this line, he says, if you can dream, if you have the power to dream and you have aims in life, don't be mastered, don't be controlled by these dreams. If you can think and not make thoughts your aim, you must have the power to think, but don't let these thoughts empower you, have control over you. If you can meet with triumph and disaster, if you meet with happiness and problems at the same time, and treat those two imposters just the same, you're supposed to go through happiness and unhappiness in the same way. You're not supposed to give up in disaster, and you're not supposed to burst with happiness in triumph. And treat those two imposters just the same. Imposters means that happiness is temporary and so is unhappiness. They will both pass. If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, if you have the power and the energy to hear the truth that you are speaking, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, the truth that you spoke has been twisted by people who have a habit of twisting the truth. Don't come into the trap of the fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, or you feel unhappy because the things that you had struggled so hard to make have been broken by others, and stoop and build them with worn out tools. You can again build your empire, the things that you had made again, even with worn out tools, if you have the energy and the zeal to rebuild your empire. Now, the third stanza, if you can make one heap of all your winnings, if you can collect all the winnings, all the successes that you have in your life, and risk it one turn of pitch and toss, and if you want to risk your winnings and lose and start again at your beginnings, and even if you lose, and you have the power, the energy, the strength to start over again where you had started, and never breathe a word about your loss. Never discuss the losses that you have met in your life. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew, a strong tissue, sinew is a strong tissue, Now the poet is saying, telling his son that if you can force your heart, if you can control your heart, your nerves, and your strong tissues to serve your turn long after they are gone, to still work hard even if your energies have vanished, and so hold on when there is nothing in you, and still hold on and control yourself even when nothing is left inside you. It's only your energy and your zeal and your confidence that is making you move on. Accept the will which says to them, hold on. Accept Allah's will, or the will that thing makes things happen, is to hold on, is to be patient, to wait for your turn, to wait for your success, and never to lose hope. In the last stanza, the poet says, if you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, even if you are talking to a big crowd of people and you can still remain in your virtue, in your beliefs, or walk with kings, or even if you are walking with kings, you are friendly with kings, nor lose the common touch, never lose your inner self, never become what the kings are. You remain what you are. Do not copy others. If neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, neither your enemies or your loving friends can ever hurt you if you leave expectations. If all men count with you, but none too much, don't expect too much out of friends or from enemies. If you can fill the unforgiving minute, if you can fill the space of the unforgiving, the hurting minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, you can cool down your emotions. Yours is the earth and everything that's in it. This world is yours, and everything that is in this world will always be yours. And which is more, you'll be a man, my son. And if you follow all these points that I have explained to you, you will be a man of the world, a strong person, a person no one can harm, and a person no one can bring down. This is a very, very encouraging poem. It is full of advices by a father to his son. It is giving us hope, motivation. It is explaining how to overcome difficulties in life, how to become better people, how to force the bad times to move on and to the good times to come, the cherish to cherish the precious moments and to ignore the sad moments and move on in the sad times, and always keep your feet down on firmly on the earth and never fly too high in the air. Even if you are surrounded by kings, you will still be a commoner, so remain a common person and always be humble. Do not bring your thoughts overboard and do not start thinking too much of yourself. Now let's move on to the explanation of the poet. This is Rudyard Kipling. Rudyard Kipling was born in 1865 and died in 1936. He was born in Bombay, India. His father was the curator of the Lahore Museum. He went to school in London, England, and returned to India as a journalist in 1882. He achieved rapid fame as a poet and short story writer in England. He was the first Englishman to receive the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1907. His two Jungle books, one was published in 1894, the other in 1895, are set in Indian jungle, and Kim, a novel, is set in pre partition Lahore. Let's start reading the meanings. Aim is a noun meaning intention or goal. Bear is verb to accept. Common touch is a noun, ability to get along with ordinary people. Foes, noun, enemies. Give way, verb, allow. Heap, noun, pile. Imposters, noun, people who pretend to be other people showing a false identity. Knaves, noun, lying men, rogues. Make allowance, permit or allow. Pitch and toss, a game of skill and chance. Breathe a word, tell a secret, talk about something. Serve your turn, turn, be useful, be helpful. Sinewy, noun, a strong tissue that connects muscles to bones. Stoop, verb, bend. Triumph, noun, victory, success. Will, noun, determination. Winnings, noun, money that is won in a game. Wise, adjective, smart. Worn out, adjective, damaged or used. Now I'll start explaining and giving you the summary of this poem again. The name of the poem is If, written by Rudyard Kipling. Kipling wrote his books while in India, books and his poetry while he was in India. He wrote a very, very good poem. It is an advisory poem. He's advising, a father is advising his son. Let's explain the summary of the poem to you so that you can further understand whatever the poet is trying to tell us. The poem If is a masterpiece written by a British poet, Rudyard Kipling, in 1895. It was first published in 1910 in the chapter Brother Square Toes of the book Rewards and Fairies, which is a collection of Rudyard Kipling's poetry and short story fiction. The poem is an inspirational one, written in second person narrative. The narrator directly addresses his reader throughout the poem in order to inspire him with what he is saying. It has a positive and motivating tongue and a tone which is full of positivity. It consists of four stanzas, each one having 8 lines. It is written in iambic pentameter. This poem is about a father addressing his son to have faith in himself. The father reveals the secret to his son to become a better human being. He motivates him to adopt certain traits in order to succeed in life. The son is told by the father to never give up after failure, but to get up, reunite his soul, and begin his struggle again. Rudyard Kipling took inspiration from the life of Leander Starr Jameson for his writing this poem. Jameson was a British colonial and later on the 10th Prime Minister of Cape Colony. He was best known for his Jameson raid. In the beginning, the British government supported the raid, but it was a historic event, a political event, but this inspired Rudyard Kipling. Now, let's explain the first stanza, the 8 lines. The poem begins with the narrator being a father addressing his son, saying that he should keep calm in the situation of crisis when all the others around him are panicking and blaming him. He should trust himself when all the people around him discourage him. Though he has confidence in himself and his decisions, he should also listen to the opinions that people have given him. He should learn to be patient and not feel irritated by waiting. If someone does any bad to him or speaks lies about him, he should not do bad in return. If he is hated by people, he should not be hateful in return, but rather stay positive, and then advises his son neither to show off to people nor act arrogant, but to stay modest. Stanza 2, lines 9 to 16. The narrator continues advising his son that it is good to dream high, have ambitions and goals, but he must not allow his dreams to rule him. He should not lose connection with reality. If he thinks about his future and plans for it, he should not just sit and keep thinking. He needs to act upon the plans. If he achieves success or faces failure, he should treat them equally. He neither should dwell in success if he achieves it, and nor should he let himself collapse if he faces failure. He must not allow them to distract him because both of them are not long lasting. He must have the courage and patience to listen to the things said by him but are modified by some dishonest men. He needs to be strong enough to see the most important things in his life to be broken. He must gather the courage to fix them and start trying again. Stanza 3, lines 17 to 24. The narrator keeps advising his son that if he can take a chance in life and risk everything, even if he loses, he should start trying again after losing and must not quit or give up. He must not complain about his loss to other people. He needs to be self sufficient and must not look up to people when things go wrong. He should keep trying even though he is too exhausted to continue. He should stay strong and firm even if he is too exhausted to continue. He should stay strong and firm even if he has no strength left in him except for the inner voice in him that keeps him moving. Last stanza, stanza 4, lines 25 to 32. The advice continues as the father says to his son to be social and keep in touch with his social group, but not to lose his individual goodness and integrity so that people may not be able to misguide him. He says that when he becomes successful in life and his status rises, he should not lose connection with his roots and the people where he has come from because that is his reality. He advises him not to allow anyone to hurt him be they his friends or enemies. He advises him to let people depend on him but not to take too much advantage of him. He also asks him to make good use of his time, and if he acts upon the given advice, the world and everything herein will belong to him. It will make him a man. Now, themes of the poem are stoicism. It is the endurance of pain and hardships without any complaint. The narrator advises his son not to complain about his loss in front of people, rather be strong and self sufficient, no matter how harsh the situation may be. Advice and guidance. The poem is an advice and a guidance that a father gives to his son. The father wants his son to become a better human being and achieve success in life. In order to become a noble and successful man in life, the son is told to act upon the advice his father gives him and to avoid the negative things in life. We must live our life to the fullest. The narrator advises his son to take risks and chances in life. He tells him to live life to its fullest. When a person fears taking risks, his life becomes empty and boring. He can achieve nothing in life. In order to become a successful person and to achieve greater things in life, one should take risks and try every path that might to reach his goal. Parent child relationship, these are all the themes. This poem talks about parent child relationships. A father gives advice to his son in a friendly and rather unemotional way, but he does not care for his son and wants him to achieve success. But he does care for his son and wants him to achieve success in life and to become a better human being. He tells his son to avoid extremes. The son is advised by his father to avoid extremes. The father advises his son to be a modest person so that it would be easy to walk with kings and keep in touch with common people. He tells his son to remain humble. He is advised to be good to everyone. If someone does bad to him, he should let go of the negative things and stay positive. He should listen to the opinions of people and what they say. Though he takes a decision of his own, he should be good to all and never be hateful to haters. That is the way to success. Men and masculinity. The poem has a masculine theme. It is about teaching boys how to become men. The father specifically addresses his son and teaches him different ways towards goodness and success. He advises him to adopt certain traits in order to become a man. Loss and defeat. In the poem, the father wants to tell his son that loss and defeat is a part of life. If one fails to achieve something, even after trying hard, he must not give up trying. He should rather try harder and achieve his goal. The person may become exhausted and wanting to quit, but he should not quit trying, because when a person fails in achieving his goal for the first time, he discovers new ways of achieving his goal, and this is how success is achieved. If, by Rudyard Kipling's analysis, is that it is a motivational poem, one in the form of a dramatic monologue. Dramatic monologue is a single person is talking, there is one speaker, and he is narrating his ideas. A father who is the narrator of the poem is explaining different personality traits to his son to adapt them in order to be a good and humble man. The father advises his son in a fatherly but friendly way. The tone is rather unemotional but caring. The poem consists of four octaves. Octaves are the 8 lines each. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are known as octaves. What are they known as? Octaves. The poem consists of four octaves, all of them provide guidance and advice. The poem progresses with the advice and guidance of the father. He asks his son to be positive and stay calm even when it is hard to. He advises him to stay confident and believe in himself even though people discourage him. The father wants his son to have a strong faith in himself and his decisions. The father, after providing him with a list of advices, tells him that he can adapt all these traits. They will make him a better human being and a successful man in his life ahead. The frequent use of the pronoun you makes the poem a direct address to the reader, which creates an interest in the reader's mind to act upon the listed advice. The guidance provided in the poem is in a polite way, so the reader takes it as a list of friendly advice directly made to him. Through different poetic techniques, the poet has made this long list of advice an interesting piece of literature. Every point is beautifully explained in the form of if and then conditional clauses in order to make it clear that if the reader adopts a positive trait or avoids a negative thing, what will happen in return. After reading this poem, The reader gets motivated to do good and avoid bad things. Now, the genre of the poem. The poem If is a dramatic monologue where the narrator speaks continuously, providing guidance and advice to the reader. The narrator, being a father, addresses his son and guides him how to become a perfect man. Point of view. Second person point of view is used in the poem in order to make a direct connection with the reader. The poem is a list of advice that a father gives to his son, so it makes the reader able to put himself in the position of the son. Tone. The tone of the poem is advisory, didactic, and fatherly. Since the poem is a long list of advices, its tone remains the same throughout the poem. Symbolism in the poem. Walking with the kings. In the above line, walk with the kings is a symbol for high status and success. A person must not lose connection with common people in his life after achieving a high status. Crowds. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, here crowd symbolizes common people. The reader is advised here to keep his personal goodness and individual dignity in the midst of a crowd so that people may not misguide him. Common touch, or walk with the kings, not lose the common touch. In the above line, the common touch is a symbol for humility and modesty. A person, after achieving success, must not lose the connection with common people. Man, and which is more, you will be a man, my son. Here, the man is a symbol of good qualities that the father wants his son to adopt. Now, metaphor, impostors. If you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those impostors just the same. In the above lines, triumph and disaster are compared to impostors using a metaphor. The reader is told to treat them equally. He should not dwell in his success as it is not long lasting. Knaves, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools. Here, the metaphor knaves is used for dishonest people. Now, personification, triumph, and disaster. If you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those impostors just the same, triumph and disasters are personified to impostors. It is said that if you meet these two, never believe them to be real and long lasting, but they are all temporary. Next is will. Will is personified here by giving it the human quality of speaking. Anaphora, it is the repetition of the same word at the beginning of lines in a stanza. The word if is repeated again and again. Epistrophe, it is the repetition of the same word at the end of the neighboring lines. Antithesis, enjambment, caesura, imperatives, capitalization, alliteration, assonance, all these devices are being used. The poem has an A B C D rhyme scheme except for the first line of the poem which has A A B C B C. I hope I've explained the poem to you completely. Please like and subscribe our channel. The summary of the poem will be followed. I will send it to you and then I will give you the stanza by stanza explanation in part 2 of Rudyard Kipling's poem If, that is unit 6 of the second year English book. Please like and subscribe us and encourage us. Thank you so much.